Which one doesn't belong? The Lord's Supper, the Eucharist, Passover, communion. Can you pick out the term that doesn't belong? Well, the one that doesn't belong in that group is Passover. Passover doesn't belong in that list, and it's biblical. It's biblical. Let's notice what it says in Luke 22. Luke 22 focuses something interesting that Christ said when he instituted the New Testament Passover. It says, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Likewise, he also took the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you." Now, the difference between what Christ was doing with the Passover and the Eucharist or communion or the Lord's Supper, and that list of other kinds of names for what Christ did goes on and on and on. You won't find those other terms in the Bible referring to what Christ was doing. He didn't call it the Lord's Supper. He didn't call it the Eucharist. He didn't say it was communion. He didn't give it that name because it takes away from the meaning of what Christ was doing. In fact, if we go back just a little bit to verse 8 in Luke 22, Christ himself names this service, this ceremony that he instituted in the New Testament. He said to Peter, verse 8, and John, saying, "Go and prepare the Passover for us that we may eat." So Christ referred to it as the Passover. And it wasn't just Christ. The New Testament church, the Apostle Paul himself, called this ceremony the Passover. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, 1 Corinthians 5, verse 7, the Apostle Paul puts it on the line, and he says this, "For indeed Christ our Passover was sacrificed for us." So think about it. What's in a name? Well, you could say no to communion, or say no to the Eucharist, or the Lord's Supper. If you really want to be biblical, check it out. There's so much information in your Bible that points to the Passover and what Christ was all about. Be sure and check it out. That's BT Daily. We'll see you next time.